History is written by the victors, and that is especially true for tennis. For about 20 years, tennis history was primarily written by three players: Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. Having won a total of 66 out of 80 possible Grand Slams from 2004 to 2023, it's pretty easy to see how the big three of tennis overshadowed many other players within their generations. With the majority of the individual success being hogged by three players, many very talented players finished their careers without any trophies from the biggest tournaments and remained unnamed in the tennis history books. Many players, if born in a different generation, may have possessed the necessary talent to win a Grand Slam, but unfortunately their prime just aligned with the three best tennis players of all time. Legendary players such as David Nalbandian, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, Thomas Berdych, David Ferrer, Gael Monfils, Richard Gasquet, Grigor Dimitrov, Kei Nishikori, Milos Raonic, just to name a few. Those were players that could not get over the massive hurdle that was the big three and win a Grand Slam, unfortunately. But now, with Federer and Nadal retired and Djokovic entering his final years, the torch of dominance has recently been passed to now two players, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. I believe that because of this shift in power, we are about to witness another lost generation in tennis. If you look at what generation tennis players were born in, there is a clear divide in the total Grand Slams won. Players born in the 1980s have won a total of 80 Grand Slams. Players born in the 1990s have won a total of 2 Grand Slams. Players born in the 2000s have won a total of 8 Grand Slams. Yes, the 80s were helped a lot by the Big Three's 20-year dominance, but it clearly seems that the 2000s generation has already leapfrogged the 90s kids. The only two players born in the 90s to win a Grand Slam so far have been the now retired Dominic Thiem at the 2020 US Open during the COVID pandemic and Daniil Medvedev at the 2021 US Open when he stopped Novak Djokovic from winning the calendar year slam that year. There has not been a complete lack of success from this generation, however, as they have reached a total of 21 Grand Slam finals, with again only Medvedev and Thiem being successful in 2 of them. However, 19 losses in Grand Slam finals is a lot of missed chances to be named a Grand Slam champion. The finals losses broken down by each player include Thiem 3 losses, Medvedev 5 losses, Zverev 3 losses, Ruud 3 losses, Tsitsipas 2 losses, Berrettini 1 loss, Kyrgios 1 loss, and Fritz 1 loss. Granted, most of these losses came at the hands of either Rafael Nadal or Novak Djokovic, as they were still incredibly dominant and even towards the end of their careers. However, waiting for the big three to retire has not looked like an effective strategy for the 90s kids, now that Alcaraz and Sinner have arrived on tour. Carlos and Jannik have won the past 6 Grand Slams between them, and now they have taken the reins from the big three, and I honestly don't see them losing control anytime soon. The 2000 generation has not only produced the number 1 and 2 ranked Sinner and Alcaraz, but many other main competitors on tour, such as Jack Draper, Lorenzo Musetti, Holger Rune, Ben Shelton, and Arthur Fils, to name a few. It appears that as time continues to pass and the chances to win Grand Slams fade, it will not only get more difficult for guys like Zverev, Tsitsipas, Ruud, Rublev, Fritz, Shapo, de Minaur, Tiafoe to win their first Grand Slam. These players should be entering their tennis primes, with most being aged 26 to 28, so all hope is not completely lost. But it has become increasingly evident that the 90s generation of tennis players has not reached their once high expectations. Just look at one of my favorite players, Stefanos Tsitsipas, for example. Ever since Steph upset Roger Federer at the 2019 Australian Open when he was 20 years old, I thought Stefanos was destined for not only one but multiple Grand Slams. He came very close in the 2021 French Open final after going up 2-0 on Djokovic, but losing that final in a devastating 5 sets so far has proved to be the closest he has ever come to winning a Grand Slam. It's sad to see that the general hope and belief in this tennis generation has hit an all-time low, especially considering that I have been watching all these players since they were teenagers and have witnessed their entire careers. And also because I'm around the same age as them, so their demise low-key reminds me of the existential crisis that I have been having recently about my own life. But besides that, I still have hope for myself and for my fellow 90s born tennis players. We still have a lot to learn from our past, and I have faith that we will work hard to create a better future. Just look at Sasha Zverev last year. He was in the Roland Garros final and recently this year in Australia. Yes, those defeats did come to Alcaraz and Sinner, but if he can learn from those losses and learn to play with more aggression and risk, maybe one day he can win a slam. He right now is probably the closest 90s player to winning a slam, especially with Stefanos Tsitsipas' career falling off a cliff and Taylor Fritz disappearing with injury this year after making the US Open finals last year. But in a sport where one player wins the tournament and many lose, when looking back at these previous years, it becomes very easy for the main quote-unquote losers to become lost in the tennis history books. And I'm afraid that we might be witnessing a lost tennis generation of players born in the 1990s.